Good afternoon, everybody. I think I'm clutching the largest pile of papers for my speech, but rest assured that's more of a reflection on my age and eyesight as opposed to the length of the speech itself. So rest assured I will have you out of here at 4 o'clock for the coffee break. So good afternoon and welcome to the Authorisations and Innovation Division and its presentation. I'm proposing to provide you this afternoon with an update on matters within authorisations and developments we've seen in innovation. I'll spend some time focusing on how we have aimed to improve the service provided and also talk about the things that you and your clients can do to help ensure that your interactions with us go as smoothly as possible. To start, a quick recap on what has happened to the Authorisations and Innovation Division over the last year or so. 2018 brought with it a range of changes for the division, not least the transformation in September of what was previously a unit into a division, and with that at the same time the merger of innovation into the division. Further change arose with the loss, albeit for good reason, retirement, relocation and career change of some experienced members of the division. As much of this personnel change was known of in advance, we were able to plan for it, and where necessary, replacements were found with relevant experience and skills. That said, there is always a learning curve where a number of new entrants are introduced into a team, and efforts in the final quarter of 2018 were focused on providing appropriate training across the division to ensure smooth transitions and a cross-fertilisation of skills. This training continues, and we are conscious of ensuring that we maintain appropriate levels of resources compared to the volumes of work we are receiving. On that, heading into the last quarter of 2018, there was a significant change in the volume of the workload that was being handled by the division. With, for example, nearly 50% of the total investment applications for the year being received between September and December. Bringing authorisations and innovation together has proven to be a good fit. And although still relatively early days in the new configuration, the general acceptance, both internally and externally of the Commission, is proof of that. Whilst the marriage is a good one, it is sensible for the purposes of today, though, to focus on each area as an individual in its own right. So, taking authorisations first. 2018 proved to be another year of contrasts, with a range of workflows and continued diversification of applications passing across the desks and screens of the members of the division. We continue to adopt a risk-based approach to our assessment of application submissions. And for the majority of applications, the division undertook the review without any need for referral to the supervisory divisions. Where necessary, though, the division continued to work closely with colleagues in all of the supervisory divisions and utilised their specialist knowledge during the review of complex or technical submissions. You may have noticed us use over the past couple of years or refer to the use of authorisation review panels, which are best described as the application equivalent of risk governance panels, which many of you, I'm sure, will be familiar with as a key element of our supervisory approach under PRISM. The use of authorisation review panels continued into 2018 and indeed into 2019. Authorisation review panels can be called ad hoc and at short notice. For those of you who have not heard of them before, this is because they have been used in only a very small percentage of the overall total of applications received. They are often used where the application involves an unusual aspect, whether that will be the structuring, the asset class, or the type of application is infrequently received. And when those applications are received, they tend to be different each time. A good example of that is applications for non-regulated financial services businesses. We feel the use of the Authorisation Review Panel allows for consistent and fair decision-making, with panels formed from representatives from the Authorisations and Innovation Division, supervisory divisions, and other areas as required, for example, legal counsel and financial crime. I'm frequently asked how many applications are we receiving and what are they? So let's have a look at some stats. This slide reflects a pleasing increase over the last 3 years when we look across the industry as a whole, with the total applications reaching 600 in 2018. Now, clearly, each sector has ebbed and flowed over the 3 years and not followed the overall increasing pattern. And I will run through each sector's performance over the 3 years in a moment. But the upward trend appears to be continuing, with levels of applications received in January and February this year either matching or outperforming the equivalent months in 2017 and 2018. And March and the start of April have also proven to be very busy. So digging a bit deeper into each sector and starting with the pale pink blocks being investment. The investment sector continued to see in 2018 the uplift it has started to experience in the latter stages of 2017, resulting in the last quarter of the year in a high number of applications. In particular, new applications for both open-ended and closed-ended funds, including registered funds and the private investment funds, exceeded levels seen in the previous year. 2018 saw the establishment of 2 Guernsey Green Funds, one being an existing fund which applied for designation as a green fund, and the other being a new fund launch. There continues to be strong interest in the green funds, with a number of other applications in the pipeline. Anecdotally, we heard that the uplift in 2018 for the investment sector may have been as a result of Guernsey simply being talked about and coming to the attention of providers that have not previously used the jurisdiction for the structuring of their products. By its end, 2018 outperformed the levels seen in 2016. That said, 2018 also saw the introduction of a fee for a change of a controller for investment licensees. And with a mind to complete transparency, 33 such applications were processed during the year and are included in these statistics. Moving up the charts to the lighter red blocks being insurance. The overall levels of applications did drop slightly. However, the trend of 2017 of the significant increase in ILS structures continued into 2018 for the insurance sector, with new Category 6 SPI sales exceeding the level for 2017. Our engagement with this sector over the application process for such structures also continued. And in November 2018, we issued a letter to the Chair of GIA's Market Development Committee, providing further clarity over our approach for these products on a range of matters, including new sale applications, sale renewals, and collateral requirements. The deep red block on the chart represents fiduciary applications. Overall levels of fiduciary applications were down in 2018 compared to 2017, and full licence applications fell by 50%. The vast majority of the applications for the fiduciary sector throughout 2018 continued to be for discretionary exemptions, although the levels were slightly down on those seen for the previous year. This draws the conclusion that there is an increasing crossover in activities between sectors, as individual firms provide more services to their clients, together with more firms carrying out a regulated activity on an ancillary basis to their main activity. And finally, the very green thin layers, purposely green so as to make them stand out at the top of the charts, are the non-regulated financial services businesses. And as you can see, the NRFSBs have remained impressively consistent over the past 3 years. Our assessment turnaround times are dependent on the standard of the applications received, and it's pleasing to note that once again, only a small number of applications submitted did not proceed to the approval stage. In 2017, over 95% of the applications submitted were approved. In 2018, this figure rose to 98%. All of the applications which did not receive approval were either withdrawn by the applicant or lapsed. However, there was need on a few occasions to return applications that were felt to be of poor quality, a reflection of the completion of the submission documentation as opposed to the quality of the business itself. Whilst disappointing, we have in these cases taken the time to provide feedback to the entities involved to help ensure that this is not repeated. And indeed, we were able in a couple of instances to accept revised application submissions. In that vein of assisting applicants in understanding our requirements, we issued in October 2018 guidance to assist individuals in prescribed positions to meet fit and proper standard set out in the relevant minimum criteria for licensing in the regulatory laws. This guidance is for individuals who are or intending to hold one of these positions, or the entities looking to employ them. In addition, we have, as I mentioned earlier, issued guidance around our treatment of ILS applications. Other examples of where we have sought to improve the service provided include that we now no longer require a wet signature on application forms, which removes a layer in the process and means we can accept applications in their entirety by email. Conscious that speed to market is often key in launching new products, we keep under review the methodology of how we allocate work amongst the team. Whilst it's generally on a first-come, first-served basis, we do, of course, feed the fast-track applications and self-certification regimes, both of which continue to be well used, into that approach. Of course, in attempting to provide an efficient service, it does not mean we are compromising on our reviews, which are fulsome, albeit risk-based. As I say, we are continually reviewing our approach to allocating applications, as the receipt of applications is not a smooth curve. For example, we may review applications in clusters by types, as that is often how they are received, perhaps determined by the time of year, for example, with ILS renewals. Upon receipt of the applications, we check for any deadlines flagged. But be aware, we are good at spotting not so genuine ones, so please do not just bung in a deadline with the hope of turning your application around quicker. Early communication, though, of deadlines does help us endeavour to meet them. This is often achieved by meeting with potential and existing licensees to discuss proposed and ongoing applications. On the whole, the quality of applications continues to be high, and early communication such as this ensures the authorisation process remains as effective and efficient as possible. Finally, on service improvement, those of you who are regular users of the online personal questionnaire and online appointment portal will know the portal has been subject to a number of what can be best described as glitches over the last few months, resulting, for example, in the duplication of entries. Our IT development team have been working hard to resolve those issues, which have arisen partly because of the increased use of the portal. That development work is starting to bear fruit, and continued intensive work over the next 6 weeks should lead to an improved service for users. So, how to help us to help you ensure that applications go swimmingly? As I mentioned earlier, we no longer require wet signatures for application forms. Forms can now be signed and scanned to authorisations@gfsc.gg. Using email rather than post quickens the process for us, as we don't have to scan the post into our system, saving us time and meaning we can start work on the application sooner, which in turn speeds up response times for you. I understand that some entities have controls around sending emails, which means they prefer to send in USBs. We are, however, able to accommodate encrypted zip files or the use of egress, and you are very welcome to use these options. Otherwise, please send in emails. But what about the cheque for the fee, you might ask? We clearly cannot expect you to email those to us. However, we now do include on all the relevant application forms our BACS payment details, and again would encourage you to submit the fees by BACS. We're currently reviewing our processes to ensure the payment of fees is as straightforward as possible. But for the time being, please do remember to include a reference with your payment that will aid our reconciliation of the fee with the application, as our mantra, no fee, no work, still holds true. Other ways which you can help us. One is to help the process, but to make sure that all the relevant online personal questionnaires and online appointments are submitted. In most cases, when OPQ is required, an OA will also be required. Awaiting OPQs and OAs is probably the most common factor in causing delays in application processing. We have recently amended decision trees on the website for when to submit an OPQ or OA, and will continue to work on these to provide further guidance. Please send in the fee by backs. I won't dwell on this as I've just covered it, but I have had a number of conversations with entities disputing the fees requested or rather required. I have no discretion over the fees, and these conversations just distract us from getting on with the job. The fee consultation process is the most appropriate time for discussion over the fees, although, as you'll be aware, the Commission announced in October last year a freeze on the fee rates for 2019 and 2020. Finally, please be as clear as possible about deadlines. We do look for them and try as far as possible to meet them, but they must be reasonable. If you do all of that, you will help the processing of your application enormously. Subject to, of course, and it is in the small print of this slide, subject to the due diligence of the parties associated with the application. I would ask, if you may, to allow me an indulgence of just one quick minute on chasing. We understand you have to chase us, as you yourselves are being chased by clients. But if everyone chases, we start to feel, to quote the chairman, we are running up the down escalator, or we end up going round in circles, and it causes us and you headaches. And we, particularly so me, need a little lie down. Now, clearly, this is my attempt to inject some humour into this point, but we do understand you need to chase us. Please, though, do try to limit the amount of times you do. If not, you will hear directly from me, especially if you beat recent examples my team have seen where one analyst was chased 3 times a day, every day, for 2 weeks on the same application, or where one entity chased rather imaginatively on the same day in 4 different ways, including contacting the supervisory team. And subject to popular belief, contrary to popular belief, we do actually speak to our colleagues in the other teams. I am aware, though, that it's often the law firms acting for your clients that chase us, and as many of them will not be represented here today, I will be sending them a copy of my presentation to make the point to them too. Before I moved over to the Authorisations and Innovation Division, I often heard praise heaped on the help desk about how helpful the help desk was. And it was true, the help desk was incredibly helpful. However, it really has become a victim of its own success. It is my suspicion that people now have started to find it easier to ring the help desk rather than to look at the guidance or the FAQs for themselves. We are now therefore encouraging those seeking help to email their queries to us at support@gfsc.gg. Probably in about 9 out of 10 cases when speaking to people, we would request further details by email anyway. The help desk handles a range of queries from new users to those more familiar with the system who are experiencing technical issues. As far as possible, the inquiries are handled by the help desk themselves, and where more technical support is required, they're passed over to the IT team. On the latter, an email particularly helps to ensure nothing is lost in translation. Asking for emails rather than answering telephone calls has helped to improve the customer service we provide. We are quicker in responding as we are not tied up on the phone, nor are we tied up with logging the calls, as the email thread does that for us. And we can direct people more quickly to the relevant FAQs or other guidance. Rest assured, help is still there. We are just offering the help in a different, more efficient, more informed manner. We will still call people back, but the help desk has only ever been 1 or 2 members of my team. It is not a help desk of call centre proportions. So, to move to innovation. The Commission's Innovation Hub, the Innovation Soundbox, continued to welcome all conversations and engagement during 2018 and into 2019. The Commission, recognising, though, that the Innovation Soundbox had been in place for a couple of years, reflected on how we could reaffirm its purpose and demonstrate the Commission's continuing commitment to supporting innovation within the bailiwicks financial services industry. As a result, the Commission hosted a 1-day event on Friday the 22nd of June 2018, the Soundbox Sprint. All the credit for the success of this event quite rightly goes to Gillian Browning and her team. The Soundbox Sprint provided an exciting opportunity for the participating teams to develop digital solutions to address one or more of three preset challenges, including how technology could be used to optimise efficient and effective client due diligence and hence reduce costs for bailiwick businesses. Secondly, to improve administration. And finally, help the financially excluded. As I say, the event was a considerable success, with entries submitted by 10 teams, which included representatives of 35 Guernsey businesses, including banks and other financial services institutions, accountants, lawyers and technology companies. Those participating were able to share and discuss how to unlock the potential of fintech for the benefit of the bailiwick and to highlight the capability of local firms in this important and growing area. The entries were considered by 6 judges drawn from across the financial services sector and included the Commission's chairman. Each entrant had the opportunity to pre-book a surgery with subject matter experts, such as regulators, politicians, accountants and lawyers, in order to enhance their solutions. The day concluded with presentation of prizes, including the Bailiwick Innovation Awards, Gold, Silver and Bronze, and the Soundbox Sprint Support Awards, again Gold, Silver and Bronze. These went to teams from PwC, Midshaw Consulting, Barclays, C5 Alliance, the ID Register and Guernsey Community Savings, with the latter being the overall winner with the community savings concept. Indeed, you may have seen recent press coverage of the Guernsey Community Savings progress with its plans, and the Commission is pleased to have played a part in that. Feedback from the Soundbox Sprint was particularly positive about the round table discussions held as part of the day's proceedings. So we decided to follow up on the Soundbox Sprint by holding further round tables, Soundbox Dashes. And we intend to do that through 2019, focusing on specific financial innovation subjects. We commenced with the first one that was held on the 18th of January 2019 on the topic of the Global Financial Innovation Network, GFIN. The purpose of the roundtable was to consider how to best optimise our involvement in GFIN. The Commission, in collaboration with 11 financial regulators and related organisations, including the UK's FCA, Australia's ASIC, the Ontario Securities Commission and the Dubai Financial Services Authority, announced in August last year the establishment of the Global Financial Innovation Network, building on a proposal earlier in the year to create a global sandbox. The network will seek to provide a more efficient way for innovative firms to interact with regulators, helping them navigate between countries as they look to scale new ideas. It will also create a new framework for cooperation between financial services regulators on innovation-related topics, sharing different experiences and approaches. GFIN has 3 main functions: to act as a network of regulators to collaborate and share experience of innovation in respective markets, including emerging technologies and business models, to provide a forum for joint policy work and discussions, and finally, to provide firms with an environment in which to trial cross-border solutions. There are now 30+ members of GFIN, but we were there from the start, and as one of the founding members, the Commission sits on the coordination group. We've also confirmed we're one of the jurisdictions willing to participate in the cross-border trials, for which the window for applications ran for 1 month, closing on the 28th of February 2019. The Commission received 3 formal submissions during the window for applications, and the process has now started of liaising with the other jurisdictions, which were also identified by those applicants who chose Guernsey, in order to coordinate our responses. At present, I cannot disclose any further details. However, GFIN is very keen to be as transparent as possible and expects to issue regular updates on the pilot and other work streams. Further windows for applications are likely, and this initial one has been a useful learning tool for preparing for those future windows. GFIN is holding an annual meeting at the end of this month, which we will attend, and we intend to present on our experience of fintech within the jurisdiction, including the use of RegTech for solving issues around administration and client onboarding, and initiatives like the Electronic Agents Ordinance. We continue to be happy to accept applications outside of the GFIN arena, though, and approaches can be made to innovate@gfsc.gg. Finally, I'd just like to thank you for your time today. I think you all deserve a coffee very shortly. And I'll leave you just with a quick reminder of the 3 key email addresses when dealing with the Authorisations and Innovation Division. But particularly, please do use the last one if you have any suggestions for future topics for a Soundblock Dash. Thank you.